That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, everybody. The technology's back up for now. So we'll see how it goes. It's nice to be back. I got a few wide-ranging topics for us to look at today, folks. A couple of them. Let me post one thing on Twitter here I forgot to do as we get started. We'll get into it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging with me with the technology. I'll explain in a minute. Here we go. Telling people to give us a call. There we go. All set. Thank you. That's bad production value. I'm out of my routine. Forgot to do it before the show. There we go. So thanks for being here, everybody. We got to shoot around a little bit. We already have a couple phone calls. I want to hit some of this transfer quarterback portal stuff is getting wild to me. And the Notre Dame angle on it is getting wild to me. I want to hammer out some details on that with you guys. This bowl game's getting very interesting to me as well. The bowl game, we're in this little soft spot, this in between. We're not really ramped up to game prep yet. We have guys sitting out going to the league with the quarterback dynamic is unique, to say the least, with what we have entering this game. I want to know how that's influencing the way you're looking at the game or your expectations of the game, just because of these unique dynamics. So I want to talk about that. What are your priorities in the bowl game? What are you looking to see? And is it realistic? Because a lot of stuff a lot of people want to see, I just don't think you're going to see. Some people want a youth movement, let all these young guys play. I don't know if you're going to see that. I don't know if you're going to see that. You might see more of it, but I don't think this staff's going to go into the bowl game and bench the linebackers that we haven't seen making up plays. I don't see that in the cards. So I want to try and get an idea from you guys of what you expect to see in the bowl game and what's going to be different about it. Hey, Foskey's out. There goes your best defensive guy, your punt blocking guy, whatever you want to say. And there goes Mayer, your go-to receiver, tight end, your escape route, your number one guy, your outlet, you're the play breaks down. Where do you go? All of it. Mayer, don't have it. Don't have it. So I just want to know what the expectations of performance and output are in this bowl game. It can't be a dynamic, folks, where we just say, yeah, the quarterback thing's weird because Pine left and Buckner, we don't know if he's fully ready or what it's going to. And some of our guys are going to the league, so who cares about the bowl game? Freeman doesn't want to have an 0-2 by his name. He does not. That ain't a good look. Even with all the nuance that went in with the first game last year and the weird timing. You know, that guy does not want to start 0-2, okay? So let's do the introductions. A Mike Leach tribute, and then we'll get to some phone calls. Whatever you guys want to talk about, chat or call, whatever. YouTube, you're obviously here. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up. Helps me as well. Anybody in the chat, give it a thumbs up. Notifications on. That way you'll be alerted every time a new episode drops. You don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish, or at Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Call in line, you know it, 312-900-8815. Program it is your phone in your phone. Give it to the people at work, and HR is your emergency contact. Don't call family. Call Always Irish. We'll figure it out for you, okay? Audio only, anywhere you want me. You could get me if you don't want to look at my face, but you want to hear the discussion. I don't blame anybody if you're saying that. I genuinely don't, folks. Think how I feel. I got to look at my face in this square the whole time I'm doing anything. How do you think I feel? Woof. Okay. Couple chats, and then we're going to do the I got to get to Mike Leach. I love that weird man. Here's the deal. Vito, I appreciate you being here. Vito says, we recruited Leary out of high school, desperately needs some experience to balance out the QB room. A proven starting QB could push the team right over the edge. Okay, so Leary, 6,807 pass yards, 62 touchdowns so far. That's a big body of work. It's a big body of work. You interested in that guy? What about Spencer Sanders? over 9,500 passing yards, 66 TDs, and he's got almost 2,000 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns with his legs. That's a lot of production. Those are numbers that don't even register to a Notre Dame fan in terms of yardage and touchdowns. Don't even register. I want to know what you think of these guys. So, Vito, thank you. I appreciate it. Started listening this season. Haven't missed a video. Never felt this engaged in ND football and love the content. Keep it up, man. I'm not going anywhere. You know that. I love this show. I love talking to the people. And the other thing is, too, man, with all this transfer portal and everything else, everybody knows who Notre Dame's in on or out on or whatever. I don't know what to make of it. You read a name and then it says, oh, I read on this board, Notre Dame's not interested at all. And then the next tweet is, oh, yeah, I read they're really interested talking to each other's camps. I don't know what to make of any of this stuff. It's just backroom blog board information. I am here to react to the news and how I feel and think about it, not break the news. With this transfer stuff, it makes no sense. You'll see a name in the portal and the one tweet will go, I got a guy Notre Dame's in on, says Notre Dame's in on him. And then the next tweet says Notre Dame's not interested at all. Don't even worry about it. I don't know what to make. I don't know. I have no idea what to make of it. Drunk, good to see you here. Matt Miller, really good to see you here. Rudy, I'm here. You know me with my technology. Fighting the computer. I hit my login and it says, cannot load your Windows account or something. Cannot. So it's like a blank screen, but like I'm logged in, but everything's like beta and it's blank. It has none of my setup, none of my material I use. No, I have no idea. No idea. So I was battling that and I don't know what happened. The furnace went out Monday night in the middle of the night in cold, windy northern Illinois. I got issues. Oh, this sensor on your little thing went bad and that triggered your whole system to not trigger because your system, I don't know, just give me heat before I light some sticks on fire in a barrel in the basement. Give me a break. Angela, good to see you here. Paul, good morning to you. John the Great. I don't know about that, but I appreciate your ego boost. I really do. Matt Miller, early signing day, 1 week out. You should do an all-day stream next Wednesday for the festivities. We might be able to do something similar to that. We might be able to. Paul, I'm up and running. Beautiful. Bob has a question we kind of addressed. If a transfer, oh, he's a golfer too. I like that. If a transfer QB wasn't starting on the team he left, why would he be resurrected at ND? I am not really looking at that. Maybe Hudson Card, just because of the way that dynamic went, he could maybe do it. But in general, I agree with you. If it's a guy that doesn't have a lot of numbers and just another guy, that's like what we already have in the room. So that's why a guy like Leary or Sanders interests me more. There's a big body of work and a lot of evidence they can get some things done. And we don't have that. We do not have that in the building. That's what that is, a safety net showing that on the low end, you know, you could get some numbers, some production, right? Like, that's how I see it. So I agree. If you're going for a guy, it's got to be one that could compete or win the job, or what are we doing here? Like, I agree with that. So I want your opinions on that. Dr. John's in the house. Drunk Vigo. John, I feel like we're on the verge of a renaissance. In what way? Do explain. Do explain. The other thing is, Nick Dean, I want us to get somebody who can let it rip. You know what I wonder? How vastly different does this Notre Dame team look on offense if you just have a quarterback that can make all the throws and has seen it all and been around the block? And you know he can make some of these throws. Like, that's what I've been thinking about. Exactly how much better does that make Notre Dame's offense right away until the young guys come in and can compete, Minchie, Carr, whatever. How much better instantly does Notre Dame look if you drop one of these guys with fat numbers throwing the ball in the mix? With the receivers we have that we think are emerging, Styles got to get his head right. I don't know what's going on. He's got to get his head right. But Colsey, Merriweather, you're going to have all the young guys coming in. freshmen next year are going to have a chance to play because we're going to need them to. So I think that's going to be in the mix as well. Yeah, see, this is what they're talking about, Bob. That's what I'm referencing. Those that aren't starters, such as Card, and he should rule those out that were not a starter. We know how QB development's been. Yeah, I'm looking. If we're doing this, I need a guy that I know has numbers. So that provides you like a floor of what it's going to be. It can't be more questions. All the guys we have are questions. I can't handle any more questions in that room. Oh, who's texting me? So yeah, it's got to be somebody like that you know can come in and you know the floor right away. So I totally agree with you on that. Luke Collins, good morning. John, good morning to you as well. Mikey Poles, no technical difficulties. I got a new laptop just for this. I don't understand what's wrong. Whatever. It's technology hates me, and it always has. Deborah Thomas, prime time, first time here live. Prime, it's good to see you. Is it Deion Sanders? Prime time. What are you trying to get an inside recruiting scoop? Prime. Good to see you. Deborah Thomas, sunny Florida. It's like sleeting rain, cold rain sideways here. Oh, here we go. That's how I want to be described. John, you scrawny Irish gangster. I'm representing the Frank Leahy squad today. So for everybody, we got the Make Frank Proud shirt. That should always be the goal. The only thing that made Frank proud was perfection from Notre Dame. That was it. Didn't matter if you won by 4 scores. If you didn't operate perfectly, it wasn't good enough. So that's why I always say, make Frank proud. Today, I identify as a pirate / swashbuckler. That brings me up to Mike Leach. Rest in peace to this very, very unique football soul. Absolutely unique. Law degree. I don't even think it's wild, his track. Law degree, wanted to coach, got into it. And it's like a lot of attention with Mike Leach gets put on the personality quirks. He really was an innovator in a lot of ways with that air raid and that offense and whipping it all over and doing all that stuff. But it just hurts. There's so many coaching personalities that are totally unlikable, liars, just nothing but deceptive practices and everything they do and say. So many of them are boring, cookie cutter, just the same boring coachisms. You get no personality. If one of these guys has to die and have this issue, why is it got to be the guy that's full of life with a lot of personality that's interesting to talk to? Like, it's just rough. And we could debate your favorite Mike Leach story. Is it Bigfoot? Is it him breaking down different candies in the post-game interview and how they're made? Is it the mascot fight where he was analyzing which mascot would win in a death match fight? Is it him explaining the coffee and how bad it tastes and you should just pound it to get the results, but it tastes bad? Or is it one of my favorites, the fat little girlfriend rant, saying that our players would rather hang out with their fat little girlfriends than learn what to do? Whatever it is, this guy was quirky as the day is long, and college football benefited from having a personality like him. And that's not even including like the innovation with the air raid in that offense. So he's going to be missed because it was just gold. Every time he opened his mouth, you never knew what he was going to say. You almost felt like he didn't take himself too seriously, and I appreciate it. I just do. So that's my speech on Leach. I'm going to miss him. I think the problem with Notre Dame is their fat little girlfriend. See, there we go. Some of you remember it. It was a riot. Zona Tucson, good morning. Terry, what's going on? ND9, welcome back, homie. What's going on? Here we go. The Irish are hot and heavy in the portal. We got ourselves a kicker, boys. There we go. Bruce, what's up? I saw it. You called me. I'm sorry I missed you in the middle of something when you called. My bad. If I see bad linebacker tackling, I'm telling you, we all want these young guys out there. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And a lot of these guys are coming back So they're not going to neuter them in the last game. They played the whole time. And that, like, I want to see it too. I just don't think it's realistic. You're not going to see less Marist and less Bertrand or any of that for these younger guys. You're just not. I don't think you are. See, here we go. I want to see Collie and Seed. Me too. I don't know how much you are. I don't know how much you're going to see it. My least favorite part of the college football season, says the format. After the bowl game, we have to wait 9 months for the new season. I know, we're entering the dark ages. Entering the dark ages of that part of the year. And then you got a little life in spring ball. And then that long summer grind. Kent, I expect a win. Simple. The objective is to win. Yep, it is for a lot of reasons. It is. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying too. Matt Miller. Marcus has to win the ball game. He can't fall to 0-2. 612-737. First 2 phone calls up as soon as I get caught up with the chats. Even with the Fiesta Bowl last year having such unique circumstances with the timing and all that, you had a big lead and you blew it. It's a bad look. You don't want to start your bowl tenure out 0-2. I'm not acting like we're playing a Super Bowl team either. I know they finished the year hot, but they have 4 losses too, damn it. So, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's okay to lose this bowl game and not play great. Especially, you guys, we came out not ready to go in our last football game against USC. We came out sluggish and not ready to go. I got to see that corrected in the bowl game or something's wrong. Something's wrong. Explain to me why we were running in slow motion playing defense first drive against USC and let them shred us down the field. I want answers. Why? Too much of that tryptophan or whatever's in the turkey? I want to know why that happened because it's bugging me and it isn't okay. Phil says, I hate the damn basketball program. Here's the deal. I follow Notre Dame basketball when it's on. Doesn't affect my blood pressure. It just doesn't hit me the same. I want us to win. I get mad when it's embarrassing, whatever. It doesn't register to me emotionally. It doesn't affect me the same way, and I'm thankful for that, or I'd be with Mike Leach right now. If football and basketball affected me the same, I'd be stroked out 10 times by now. There's no way. So maybe it's protecting myself. Willie, R.I.P. Pirate King. Yep, what a legend. What a unique personality. And as somebody who also has a personality that's a little unique and perhaps even a little quirky, I'm drawn to that kind of guy. A Bigfoot conspiracy in a media session. Love it, okay? Like this guy was just wild. Did you see the video of him taking all the chairs? The wide receivers weren't playing good enough, and they have all their chairs along, the sideline where that group sits. And Leach was just like, you're not doing enough, and you're not sitting down. He took all the chairs and folded them and threw them down. He's just unique as the day is long. Just unique as the day is long. Hold your sword high. There you go. Here we are. The Sunset Kid. If TB12 is playing, we better wrap him in bubble wrap. You better hope he stays in one piece. And you also I said it last time. I'm only half kidding. Not only wrap him in bubble wrap for the game, you might want to get him one of those things you install in your grandma's house when she's old at the top of the stairs, where she just sits in it, hits the button, and it goes down the stairs, and then the chair turns, and then grandma's out, and she can walk to her therapy session, right? Got to watch out for the stairs, too. Buckner will always get hurt. Like, people are nervous about this, man. Glass half full. Mayer was the Pine escape route, not Tyler. Tyler of all options. Yeah, I guess. That's true. Is there any worry of you guys of how the rhythm's going to be with everybody being used to Pine and what he can and cannot do that everybody had to get used to, and now all of a sudden it's Buckner? I want to know how much this offense changes. I want to see if there's more RPO, more run it, more option almost. Let Tyler let it rip with his legs. I'm just very interested to see what this is going to look like. Or is it more, we're just going to run the ball and do what we need to do, protect Tyler, like whatever. But if he's fully functional, use his legs to open everything up, which is what we wanted to see all year. Go Buckeyes. Kent's here. Telling you, Kent, your guys got an extra life this year. It looked like they were down and out, had an embarrassing home loss. I'm not over because it pumped up my mortal rival, Michigan, and they're still in a chance for a championship. So it's quite the turnaround for Iowa State, one week to the next. Leach interviews are legendary. Matt Radke represent Nashville, a wonderful family. Thanks for being here. Got to meet him at the Cal tailgate. Wonderful guy. Oh, boy. MJH Irish 84. Wouldn't it be ironic if the Notre Dame starting quarterback exited the program via the portal, ends up at a Division II school? I think Drew Pine might end up at a MAC school starting and could be a hero right away. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if he went to the Ivy League somewhere. I don't know. But I think it's going to tell you a lot where he ends up, and then realize that's what we were trying to run Notre Dame with. That's going to be interesting. Watch where he ends up. And here's the other thing with that. Phone calls, we're getting right to you. 612-737. I don't know. I heard some of the guys in the Notre Dame media, long-time guys with access, guys that have been around decades, saying Pine's camp did not appreciate the way he was covered by Notre Dame media, including newspapers, writing, podcasting, YouTube, everything I do, Twitter, writing in the paper, and YouTube, podcasting. I heard, I wasn't told, it was on a public podcast, and they were saying his camp did not appreciate the way he was covered. Everybody asking for more, calling him the backup. He can't make all the throws. What's coming next at quarterback? Word is they did not like the way that was covered. That is totally understandable. If you're the guy's family, I understand you would not want to log into the show and hear me say our starting quarterback isn't good enough to be the starting quarterback, okay? That's just an interesting dynamic to me, and it also partially explains why a national guy like Pete Thamel was the one with that breaking news and not a local Notre Dame beat guy. That also triggered to me as interesting. His camp was not happy with the way he was covered in Notre Dame. So it seems like there may be just a little bit of animosity towards that process in the media and how we've looked into this. Pine thought he was going to win the job twice, last year and then this year, and it didn't happen either. And he ended up getting to play a lot this year and won a lot of games. It's not what it needs to be to get Notre Dame where they need to go. So I find that very interesting with his family and their camp, okay? Oh, let's see. MJH Irish 84. You have a pretty good face, John. Hell, when I shave, I make sure the lights are out just so I don't have to look at my ugly mug. That's funny. I appreciate that. Thank you. Mike Leach deserves a statue at a D. I don't know what for, but it'd be funny. Everybody's giving your what? My advice on weddings. I'll give you my advice on weddings. If it's yours and you're a guy, do anything you can to opt for the destination wedding. It's going to cost you less money, less planning. You know what else? Yeah, this is my advice on the weddings. If she'll go for it, do a smaller destination wedding where you could maybe save a little money. It doesn't have to be, if it's in your local area, then you got to invite all these ancillary people that are on the line. And do you want to invite them or feed them or not? And you know, if they're local, they'll come if you invite them. Destination wedding, you cut all that group off. All that group on the edge of if we're going to go or not, they're not going to spend the money and go for a week somewhere. So you can eliminate a lot of that guest list. And when you get back from the destination wedding, then you rent out the back room of a bar and have a small, relaxed, no pressure gathering for all the other people that couldn't travel, older people, kids, the money, whatever. That's the way to do it. You're going to end up ahead financially and make this all less of a huge ordeal. Also, agree on an amount and stick to it. That's my advice. Destination wedding, if you could get away with it, you can have less people involved. It'll be less stress. And agree on a number you're willing to spend for everything. Whether families pitch it in or not, agree to a number, stick to it, make it reasonable. The way I look at this is, were you going to spend 50 grand on a wedding or 25 grand on a wedding and have the other 25 to put on a beautiful new home for your new family that'll last forever? I'm sorry, but I can't justify filet mignon for everybody I know for an extra 10 grand. No. You got to think big picture. And if your significant other's making it all about the show and it's all about how it looks and we got to keep up with the Joneses, we need the fanciest everything, Bridezilla. The other thing that's got to stop is 14 bridesmaids on this side, 14 groomsmen over here. It's absolutely ridiculous. Pick 2 or 3 people and that's it on each side standing up. It's out of control. Nobody has a dozen people they're equally that close to. Grow up, cut some people out, make this all easier on everybody. Everybody gets 2 or 3 people standing on each side, and that's it. Let's get the show on the road. Okay? All right. I'm done with that. That's my advice. Grayson McCall, I've seen that come up too. John, I'm coming to you, Dr. John. What do you think about going after McCall from Coastal Carolina? I've seen that name in the mix. A lot of people like it. Let's see. Mikey Poles, I'm willing to bet Tommy Rees does not like the idea of a transfer QB because they weren't his guy from the start. Just seems like that to me anyway. Well, then maybe the guys that are his guys should be guys that can make all the throws. He should want a transfer guy for this year to make him look better and make it look like it's not the offense structure that's the problem. He gets a guy that can make all the throws. It'll make him look a lot smarter. So I would think he would want anybody that can make his offense look better. Now, again, I keep saying this. We all get wrapped up, transfer portal, transfer portal, transfer portal. I get it. I'm still saying Notre Dame's long-term path to success here is developing their own quarterbacks in the system, develop them, get them in there young, let them grow with the young talent around them, make mistakes together, learn together. Then those are guys that become leaders later. That's the long-term path for stability at Notre Dame. Maybe some other teams could win patchworking a quarterback in one year and then another the next year. That is not Notre Dame's best path long-term because of the way Notre Dame's structured. So developing a young guy, I think, is the ultimate future. But for where we're at right now, you have nothing but unknowns in that quarterback room, and you can't go into the year like that. They're going to grab a guy with some stats to lean on to give him a basement, to give him a floor. Who it is, I don't know. But that's what I think they're going to do and why. Grayson McCall, I've seen that name. Sharky, happy to see you back. I'm happy to be back. I'm fighting everything. I'm fighting YouTube on the back end with some things. Twitter, Elon's messing up the algorithm and it's affecting my stuff. I got issues with technology. Nothing's easy. Matt Radke, my son's now feeling how I am after the season. Saturdays aren't the same. I'm telling you, Army-Navy is always the depression bowl to me because it's like, it's Army-Navy, not the highest level of exciting football. But it also signals it's over. It's all over. You know what? Watching Army-Navy's like, you guys? Watching Army-Navy is like, as a kid, watching Sunday Night Football, like in the third and fourth quarter. Like the sand's running out of the hourglass of the weekend, and you got to go to bed and get ready for school. It's rough. It's rough. True, Tommy recruits quarterbacks to remind him of himself. In other words, limited. I would advise Tommy to start recruiting quarterbacks that don't remind him of himself and, in fact, are the total opposite. And what I mean by that is really, really great at football. That's my advice. Whatever that profile is, do the opposite. Let's start there. Oh, man. Here we go. Couple more chats. We'll get to the calls. I'm almost caught up. The quarterback selected via the portal cannot be a lateral move. It must be somebody that can compete to beat Georgia, which, accompanied by all the talent on board, can happen. I agree with you. Like, it can't be, it's not going to be somebody where you go, I don't know what we have here. That's how we ended up in the situation we were in this year. That's exactly how, and we got burned by it. When we went, again, I say this all the time. In summer, when I was doing my previews, the number one thing I said about all this is, for Notre Dame to do anything or be anything like we want this year, Tyler Buchner has to stay healthy the whole year and be good. Not one or the other, both. Both had to happen for Notre Dame to have a season anywhere like what we wanted. I said Buchner has to, one, stay healthy, and two, develop every week and be pretty good. Neither one of it happened. And Notre Dame ended up behind the 8 ball right away all year because of it. They're not going to allow that to happen again. So I get the sense that the Irish staff is looking at this transfer portal quarterback Band-Aid, hoping they only need to go to it one more time this year. And then they will have a pipeline of higher potential recruits that you could get in and grow with from there. So I get the feeling this is like a last time of doing this to this extent, because we're going to be in another year where you don't know what you're going to get. You have no idea. Let's see. Andrew Gilmore. Have you seen articles on Reese's search for a transfer QB? It's concerning. He's looking for another cone. The biggest attribute is leadership. What about a strong arm? I have not read exactly what you're looking at, but if it's what you said, it doesn't impress me either. Looking for leadership. Drew Pine was a good leader, and he was also 4.5 feet tall. Give me an arm. Give me fast legs. This is not as hard as Notre Dame makes it. It is not. We make life harder than it has to be, and it drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. Oh, man. John needs a new HVAC man from the portal. I had my guy come over. You know what? If it's past changing the filter in the furnace, I'm not getting in there messing with flames. Does that seem like a good idea for me to just go in there with my little flashlight and start messing with the ignition flame on my furnace? You're going to see Always Irish on the air with his house on fire, the whole studio. Past my skill set. It's one thing with my head in the sump pump hole. I can do some of that in the basement. At least it's not dealing with fire. I ain't messing with fire, okay? It's a little bit behind my, beyond my skill set. Love the show, John from Houston. Larry, I'm happy to have you here, Larry. Good to see you. The Sunset Kid says, like BK. I got a feeling I know what that was in response to. I'm not going that far, but, you know, whatever. Wedding advice. I thought it said wedding cake advice. Wedding cake advice. Get yourself a Notre Dame one. That's what I had. That's what my brother had. It's the only cake we'd want, is one with the big fat leprechaun on it. Okay? Love that. Oh, man. Let's see. It's not neutering. It's seeing what you have in the young players. I agree with that, but I agree with that. I want to see Snead and Colley. I do, because the guys that got to play all the time got us 4 losses. So to me, you kind of lose your automatic playing time when you're a part of the reason we lost 4 games. That's what I would say to these older guys. If I'm going to play the young guys more, I'd be like, there are consequences to allowing the 2 dumb losses you allowed at home. One of them is your playing time's not guaranteed in the bowl game. Sorry. I have no problem with that. I just don't see them doing it. That's all. All right. Let's get to the phone lines, and then we'll get back to some of the chats. I'll highlight them. Dr. John is first. 612. What's going on, doctor?
Hey, good morning. You know, I almost hung up the phone a bit ago. Well, I put it down and to do something in the kitchen here, and I came back and I thought it had jumped to a different site because I was hearing all this wedding advice. But then I recognized the voice, and I knew it had to be you.
Yeah, they wanted, hey, Mike Leach had a classic rant about weddings and bridezillas and everything that goes wrong with weddings and the advice. I had to give my 2 cents.
Well, I need a medical report too. Are you completely recovered, or you still got some residual stuff going on?
I'm feeling pretty good. I hate to say it, so I don't want to jinx myself. I'm feeling pretty good right now. If I could just keep my technology working, then I'll be good to go, John.
Well, good. Hey, I got to say something about some of the guys that call. They really study this stuff, and I kind of look at just the surface of it, but you've got some callers that really get into the stats and seem very knowledgeable. I appreciate them calling in because all I've got for you is fluff.
Yeah, no, it's man, John, you're right. It's there are some people that have notes when they call in and they go, John, I have bullet points because I don't want to forget and this and this. And Dr. John, that's another reason why I wanted to get a phone line. I wanted to give everybody else a chance to talk. It shouldn't just be me yelling all the time. I want to give people a voice, and it's only going to get better as the Freeman era grows and the talent gets better. It's going to be exciting in a couple of years.
Well, I am the bearer of some good news. I heard somebody say we got to wait 9 months after the bowl game, but I'm going to Ireland, so I've got less than 8 months to wait.
There you go.
So you ought to try that too, except it's Navy, so you never want to see them play, right?
Yeah, but I would in certain circumstances. I would. John, what I'm struggling to answer this with guys opting out and the switch at quarterback and all the moving parts. What is a reasonable expectation of us to have for this bowl game? Like, you don't have Mayer, you don't have Foskey, but we all expect to still win and play well. Like, what is realistic as far as to expect as an output?
I just want to see a lot of young kids play. Yeah, I want to win. If we're sucking and we're losing, my gut's going to be in a knot. But I am just looking forward to this game as a relaxing, fun game with two of my daughters, and hoping to see a bunch of young kids play. I hope he plays Angeli as well as Tyler.
Yeah, I've seen that talked about as well. And then you could have a couple different packages, for South Carolina to have to prepare for. The other question I have is, let's say it is mostly Buckner. I am not sure what is fair to expect of him. He hasn't played in a real action game in forever, thrown into the bowl game. It's just a one-time deal, and then the season's over. I don't know how different the offense will look. I don't know how the rhythm's going to look with the new quarterback in there. I really don't know what to expect. It's very, it's going to be interesting to see.
And I think that's going to be one of the interesting things about the game. We don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Refresh my memory on it. His injury, was it a shoulder?
I believe so. But apparently he's back. Apparently he's back. Apparently he's back, and he's running around, and he's going to be the guy. Like, I almost run the option and then surprise everybody. And Tyler Buckner didn't even have to throw. He could just run around all day. Like, I don't know, but I want to see some young guys, and I don't know if we're going to see enough of it. I don't. Everybody wants to see new linebackers out there. I don't know how much you're going to see that. I just don't.
Yeah, I have no idea how Freeman's going to use this game. I hope he uses it as a development tool. You want to win the game, but it's a nothing bowl. Let's develop some of these young kids. And speaking of Mayer, I wanted to ask you this: Have you seen anything from that Mackey committee that explains
No.
how they voted on this thing?
Nope.
I mean, that is the most ridiculous. I mean, I've talked to my son-in-law. I say that because my daughter and he have been together for 28 years, but they're not married. Anyway, he's not the biggest Notre Dame fan, but I told him about this, and of course, at first he scoffed, and then I told him about those three categories of stats where Mayer in one less game was all over the place.
Yep. I don't know. John, is it a matter of is it just a matter of it's Georgia and Georgia's a hot team, a championship pursuant team in the hottest conference that the media loves? Like, is it that simple when the numbers don't add up? Is it that simple? It's the Georgia award on a good team award. I mean, that's what I come down to because I can't think of anything else logical.
Well, I can't either, and I wish I knew who was on the committee. I'd love to hear some explanation, but I doubt if we ever will.
Dr. John, somebody put in the chat, Tyler Buckner's entering the game with the Life Alert bracelet on. I love the kid, but his development's just like 4 full years behind what it should be because of all these dumb things that are not his fault. COVID and ACL, sitting behind cone, a fight with the stairs, the shoulder. The guy can't catch a break unless it's in his body.
No, he'll probably be playing for Notre Dame when he's 40.
He's going to have my hairline out there. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Hey, Dr. John.
Extra years.
Have you looked into these transfer quarterbacks anymore? And if you don't have a preference in one individual, what are the characteristics you're looking like? If it's me taking the name out, I just need a guy that I know has a big arm that can make all the throws to get this offense a little further down the road until the young guys' pecking order kind of comes full term in a couple years here. What do you think about that? There's a lot of names out there.
Well, I think, as I told you last week, I'd kind of like to see us get Card just because my son-in-law is such a big Texas fan.
Yeah.
But it's got to be somebody that's at least 5 feet tall. I'm afraid that if people are listening to your show and considering Pine, he keeps shrinking. So I doubt if anybody's going to grab him too soon.
I've been known
he's down to what, 4'9" now?
I've been known to exaggerate for dramatic effect on this program once in a while. Take some creative liberties to get my point across. The long-term path for Notre Dame is not playing Band-Aids with transfers. I want a young guy in there that can develop, settle in nicely, become the leader, mature with the young guys around him. That's the long-term path. They do not want to enter next year not knowing anything they have at quarterback, and that's where we sit right now. They're going to go get one of these guys with the body of work. I just don't know who it is.
What do you know about Card? I mean, he didn't play much at all this year, did he?
Well, he wasn't the starter because Texas had that blonde-haired mullet guy. Ewers is his name, the hot young freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
He was the starter, but then he got Bucknered, and then he was out most of the year. So then Card played for him the way Pine played for Buckner. But now that guy's healthy, he's going to be the starter again. So that's why Card's looking to leave.
Well, what did you think of his work?
I didn't see a ton of it, but here's what I think. It's automatically a better arm production than anything we're going to have. Like, that's the other issue with the Notre Dame fan base is everybody's picky about these transfers. Damn near all of them have better passing numbers than anything we're going to get. So who are we to be that picky about it? Like, it's never good enough for us, but what we have isn't going to be as good enough as all O'Leary's numbers are dream world compared to what Notre Dame puts up. All of Spencer Sanders' numbers are dream world compared to what Notre Dame puts up. So who are we to poo-poo guys like that?
What do you hear about Larry as far as what he's looking at?
I don't know. There's a few teams in the mix for him. And then Sanders interests me because of the rushing yards. He's almost got 2,000 rushing yards and over 9,500 passing yards. As a Band-Aid, that's a pretty solid Band-Aid to me, or a one-year bridge, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But I do agree, if they're bringing a guy in, he has to have a bunch of fat numbers to provide you a baseline. That is my big thing. It can't be another project transfer. No, it has to be an established guy.
Yeah, and I think that too would provide a very healthy environment as far as competition goes.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, now you've got some standard to measure everybody else against.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe Buckner ends up being the guy, you know?
Yep. And that's another tricky thing, John, is these transfer guys, especially a guy like Card that was the backup but then played due to injury. He's not going to want to leave and then ride the bench somewhere. How do you navigate that where you're not going to guarantee a job but guarantee competing for a job? Like, that's tricky too. Some of these transfers are not going to leave and not start. How does Freeman navigate that discussion? Because you can't just hand a guy a job if you want Buckner to compete for it or whatever. That's tricky to me too.
Yeah, you got it. Well, first of all, you got to get a guy with pretty strong character that wants to get whatever kind of education from Notre Dame he can get in that year, but that has strong enough confidence that he'll win the job.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of guy you want. I don't know how you identify that. Hopefully Freeman is finding that out.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it's just tricky, man.
Anyway.
You're really threading a needle, John. You're threading a needle, and it's a modern age needle.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very tricky. You don't want to mess up your dynamic and your culture, but we do need help in this area. It's the most important position in individual sports. And they're trying to thread a needle there with the right personality, the right background of statistical like numbers that they know what they're getting. It's not the easiest thing to do, but I know Notre Dame wants a guy and they're working on it hard. I'm supremely interested to see who they land on.
Well, we're going to find out. I don't know when do they have to make a decision? And I don't mean
you know
Notre
what?
Dame. I mean
I don't know that.
Portal.
That's a really good question. I don't know when that date is. That's a very good question. I don't know. I don't think it would line up with their early recruiting date because that's something different. The early signing day. I honestly don't know. That's a really good question. Yeah, good question, John.
Well, speaking of signing day, when you sign on next Wednesday, it's already going to be de facto who we've got, right?
Yeah, and we
Isn't
might
it
be
midnight they start sending that stuff.
Yeah, or maybe God, I remember the old days where they used to wait by the fax machine, John. That's how old I am. I remember when the first Notre Dame shows that would cover this, they would wait for the old fax to come in and they'd go, "Oh, here it is." The old fax machine. They were waiting for all the guys. And we were always I was always nervous about the West Coast guys because they were always 2 hours behind. So theirs would be later. And I would always get nervous making sure we were going to get those signatures. So I don't know, John. There's a lot of unknown right now. The bowl game's an unknown with a lot of weird stuff. Navigating all of this portal stuff's fairly new for Notre Dame, the extent we're needing to do it. These are interesting times, and I just feel that things are changing. This is just like modern football creeping up on us. Don't you feel that? The whole thing's changing.
Yeah, I do. But what I'll take umbrage with and what you said, you're talking about how you're old enough to remember that. I remember when we had to wait for the Pony Express to come in to find out who signed.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, I remember the old days, Dr. John. I remember those old days when Grandpa Kennedy used to get the old blue and gold literally mailed to the house in hard copy. And it was rolled up like a paper.
Oh, yeah.
Rolled up like a paper. Grandpa Kennedy would get it, read it, and then he would say, John, it's yours if you want it. And I'd go over there and get them. I love that hard copy blue and gold, man. It was beautiful. Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You got anything else on your mind?
Hey.
What else is on your mind?
Well, I'm gonna turn you loose because you got people on the line that have much more important stuff than I do. But I gotta leave with a message for Kent. Just let him know that when I make my calls now to you, I have a big sign that says, "Is your mute on or off?"
Perfect. That's beautiful. We're not going to be talking into the void with no one hearing you. That's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. And I still, Dr. John, I dream of the day me, you, and Kent take this show on the road, and the three of us just cause problems all over town. It's going to be the oddest Three Stooges they've ever seen, and we're going to have ourselves some fun, Dr. John.
Oh, I'm getting ready for it because you know what? I don't have to walk anywhere. Kent's going to push me around.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
He's going to push you around. Just don't say anything bad about
he's
Ohio State. He might direct you right into traffic. So you got to watch your mouth when Kent's in charge, okay? He'll wheel you right out onto the toll road. Right on the toll road, okay?
He won't be able to have more than one beer either because he'll be driving.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, John, we got it all figured out.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, we got it all figured out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, partner. We'll talk to you soon. And I just a good frame of mind for this bowl game is just go out there and enjoy it, and hope we see a bunch of kids that are going to be great in a year or two.
Yep. That's a really good way to look at it. Have a good rest of the week, my friend. Thanks for checking in as always.
Hey, you too. Go Irish.
Go Bye-bye. Irish. See ya. Man, that phone line's been clear for him lately. 737-818. You're coming up next. John, please tell me the Irish are going to beat the Gamecocks. I don't know what to make of it. You know what else I don't know? Do we have the full report of the guys from their end that are sitting out or declaring early, or what about that? I don't know. I don't know about that either. So maybe they're losing guys just like we're losing guys. No one could be surprised to learn Mayer's not playing in this game. I just figured that. That's your number one dude. That's your outlet, your go-to. You're going to have to figure out another way. And you got a month to do it, at least a month. Figure out another way. Jared, all right, guys. Sorry I'm late, but I made it. Checking in from Dayton. Good to have you here, Jared. Here we go. My advice on weddings is to try it several times. You just got to keep trying until one of them clicks, right? Oh, that's funny. Paul says, I'm very high on Kenny Minchie. Wouldn't be surprised if he's the starting QB by midseason. You would hope. Big body, big arm guy. I don't know if they're going to want to preserve a red shirt for him, get his body bigger, get him integrated into school, get settled in, work on his body, work on understanding the playbook. I don't know what that path looks like. The dream would be that sometime Notre Dame gets a guy that young that's good and can play right away. And the learning curves and the issues we have to go through are worth it because he's that good. That's the dream. Other teams have that all the time. We act like it's totally freaking impossible to recruit a high school guy and he's good enough to play right away. I look around the country and I see young guys starting all over. I see it. Or if not starting, contributing and playing. Young guys. It's possible. You just have to recruit one that's at that level that they're good enough. That's an issue. Yeah, Army, Navy, well, it is the Depression Bowl for me because it's the end of the season. It was an actually compelling game. Really was. Sharky, so glad I taped the Clemson and BC games to rewatch. Yeah, Clemson obviously is what it is, and it was a magical night for me being in the building. But the BC with the weather, that's a cool rewatch too. Yeah, look at this, you guys. 737, I'm coming to you. You've been waiting a while. I apologize. Navy coach fired in the locker room after the Army game. Listen, two guys that annoy the hell out of me every time we play them are both gone. The smirk with David Shaw is gone, and then Coach Ken had a little bit of something to him that bugged me walking around the way he did too. So both those guys are out, and it's a little wild. Some people know the guy that Stanford hired. I don't think he was on my radar. And the other one, I don't know. I don't. Both of those guys are on my list of like kind of annoying, but I kind of respect them. Coach Ken at Navy and Stanford. It's just weird that both those guys are gone. I'm so used to them for so many years. So used to them. Thoughts on our new kicker from USF via the portal? I have no idea. I haven't even looked into it. No idea. I'll be honest. No idea. Want to see Colsey and Merriweather? For sure. Colsey came on towards the end of the year too. 737, welcome to the show. I'm so sorry I made you wait.
No worries, John. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm operating in a little bit of like a little time-space vacuum here with this soft spot between the regular season and the bowl and all the changes and the portal and guys leaving early. And I'm just kind of in a little in-between holding period, it feels like. Where are you at right now?
I'm looking at the bowl game and trying to care about it. You know, I mean, I'm also looking at transfer portal. Man, there's just so much going on. I mean, transfer portal let's basically call it what it is. It's free agency at this point with less roadblocks than the NFL free agency.
Hey, can I ask you something? Can I ask you something? And I mean this genuinely, and I'm not just being a Notre Dame homer on this, but I mean this. When I see that kid win the Heisman Trophy, it did not register to me as genuine of an accomplishment as it normally does because of the way it was all put together, bought and paid for, 1 year, come over. And it just did not feel to me as wholesome as the Heisman should feel of a guy putting in time at his school and being there for the school. And then the representative of that and this award, I just don't feel that same vibe because of the way this all came together. Maybe it's just me being a Notre Dame guy, but it feels a little different and not as fulfilling to me to see that Heisman go that way.
You know, I think it feels purchased, but I think the whole USC season is purchased. I don't want to take anything away from guys getting there, coming together, winning games, because obviously that's not easy. I think Texas A&M is a pretty good poster child for top recruiting class, ton of NIL. You know, a good amount of transfers, and then they were terrible.
They got a culture problem. They got a culture problem, and when you bring in all them guys, you know, there's entitlement issues, there's ego issues, and I've always said forever, Jimbo is a talent accumulator, not a great head coach. And if you didn't stumble into Jameis at FSU, none of this would be in play, and he wouldn't be where he is. But yeah, there's something for that, and I wrote about that this week in the USA Today, Fighting Irish Wire, saying everybody wants to get portal happy. You got to be careful your culture. You have some instability there. If you're trying to flip 20 guys every year coming and going, that's a lot to navigate and maintain your vision of a culture. I don't think Notre Dame's going to let it get to that point because they're not allowed to, but it's going to be in play for a lot of other programs. Taking that quick route's going to backfire. I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I go back to Michigan State. Michigan State did that, and now they're terrible. They brought all those people in, gave their coach a 10-year extension, and you know this year they're not looking good. Obviously, Texas A&M, but then again, Lincoln Riley and USC did it, and there's always going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think the thing that I hate is Lincoln Riley. Because of what he's done. And again, you got to give the guy credit for it, regardless of where he was. But you look at all the Heismans he's had already, whether it's Baker, whether it's Kyler, You had Jalen Hurts, who was the number 2,
Yep.
and now Caleb Williams. I mean, it's fairly clear that Lincoln Riley will get a consistent lineup of 5-star high school quarterbacks or transfer quarterbacks coming in, because obviously he has the Heisman pedigree, right?
Yep.
So, I'm there's a lot going. I look at the Gator Bowl. I look at the transfers, recruiting, a few other things. In terms of, there was a question that came up before in terms of South Carolina. So the last thing that I saw was that there's a few people that are out for South Carolina. The top 2 players on defense, so a cornerback and a D-line guys, have opted out. Their 2 leading rushers and their top tight ends have entered the portal. So they're going to be missing. They're missing top guys, just like we are. The crazy thing is that this is an expedition game for me. Exhibition game, for me. And it's really,
but how do you balance that?
But
man, this is so hard. I recorded a show yesterday. I'm going to put out tomorrow. And it was going down the exact mental and emotional path you are right now, with me talking about almost being relieved that this first year is almost over with the transition and everything. You knew there was going to be kind of some things that had to sort out that weren't all stable yet. And I'm almost relieved that we're at that point. And I actually said exactly what you did in that show about feeling like that bowl game's almost a jumping off point of what's coming next rather than wrapping a bow on what's already been. However, I don't think they're going to look at it that way. I don't think they can, because Freeman doesn't want to go 0-2. So I don't know what you're going to see, but he's got to figure that out. He doesn't want to start 0-2 in bowl games.
Yeah, I agree. I think the difference is that I can't look at it as putting the bow on 2022, and I'm looking at it more in terms of the precursor to 2023.
There is no bow because this year's dead. You have 4 losses. You win this game 100-0. It doesn't change a damn thing. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. 4 losses. You win by 100. It doesn't matter. You still have 4 losses. No one's going to go, oh, no, that opened my eyes. Notre Dame deserves all this credit. No. So to me, that's why I look at it as what can you show me of what's coming? What can you show me of what's coming in a year that isn't already ruined? But I get that the coaches can't look at it that way because they got to try and win now. And then I end up mixed up there where I want this game to be more about the future, but they got to find a way to win so Freeman doesn't go 0-2.
Yeah. But here's the thing. For anybody that's looking at it, the team that we went 8-4 with, and the team that South Carolina, frankly, went 8-4 with, the teams we're going to be playing with in the bowl game is a different team.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about the people that aren't playing, but I mean, come on, Mayer and Pine. I mean, you could just say Mayer.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to put Pine in the mix as well. But Mayer and Pine, and they accounted for 60% of the offense that was put up for the year. So to say that Notre Dame going into the bowl game is a bow on the 2022 season, it's not. We're going to be playing with a different team. We're going to have a different look. There's no way that we're going to have the same offensive game plan where Mayer is our. What did somebody call? So I was watching a show the other day, and somebody called Mayer. It might even have been one of your shows. I don't know, but somebody called Mayer Pines Binky, saying,
yeah.
And obviously that's not going to be there.
Yep.
Buckner won't have that. So
yep. Now listen. Somebody just put in the chat, this bowl game should be all about evaluating Angeli. It's really dumb to push to play Buckner. What do you feel about that mentality?
I would love to see Angeli. I was actually hoping to see Angeli, but for some reason, man, I think both Freeman and Reese are really trying to get a lot of Buckner buy-in because they put a lot of eggs in the Buckner basket. I mean, hey, this is the guy they went for, and let's face it, when they were recruiting Buckner, they weren't recruiting Caleb Williams. They weren't recruiting Bryce Young. They weren't recruiting some people who were pretty amazing football players that are Heisman winners and, super successful and all that stuff. So, I think that they're trying to do a "hey, see, I told you so" kind of thing with Buckner. But I'm worried. Again, Buckner is, he's Mr. Glass, man. So
it is weird to me that we watch this team all year and we get to the bowl game and I know less about what I'm going to see than I did after watching 12 games. I have no idea how they're going to structure that offense, how different it's going to be, what they're going to want to run. I mean, every single pass play, Ed Mayer is the main target or the number one bailout. You do not have that as an option. Like, a lot of things need to change to put this together. And I'm just interested to see it. And I'm just going to cringe every time Buckner does anything. It's nothing against him. I'm not calling him soft as a man. It's just, I just can't help my brain but to worry every time he does anything.
I've seen Buckner's high school tape and he looked amazing, and I hope that he comes in and just does amazing, which makes it even. It's almost like I'm wondering if portal quarterbacks are waiting to see kind of how Buckner looks before they come in. Because if Buckner looks amazing, there's going to be a lot of people that say he should be the guy moving forward.
Now let me give you the flip side. People need to be open to the idea that some of this could look a little rough. I don't care if Buckner's back practicing for this whole month or what. I know he's not getting hit because they don't want to risk that. It is perfectly reasonable to assume this guy looks rusty and the offense doesn't look all smooth and put together because they haven't been together all year. And then all that's going to do is all offseason, everybody's going to say, Buckner's done, forget about him, like can't be the starter. That's something I'm worried about too, is if they don't have any rhythm together just because of the timing of all this, that's going to be a rough offseason for Buckner. He's going to get dragged through the mud all year. It's going to happen all offseason, I mean.
Buckner's been dragged through the mud this whole year from the two games he played already. So to think it won't happen if he has a bad game or if he has a rough game or it's just inconsistent game, it's definitely going to happen. I look at Buckner and I'm thinking like I said, I want him to do great. He is a pickup. I've seen his high school tape. He's got a ton of talent. He could be our Caleb Williams. I don't think we need to be a quarterback specific run plays, but I think you let him do his thing, get him out into space, do his check downs. If nothing's there, then let him run, and hopefully he's doing it there.
I always say, and I mean this, whenever something comes up newsworthy with Notre Dame, I always say it amazes me how rare the fan base is all on the same page. It's just wild to me. I have half these people telling me Buckner cannot complete passes downfield at all. He has no touch. He's not figuring it out. It never happened in practice. Forget him being a good passer we all want. And then I have another half of the fan base who claim he could be really great if he's healthy. And it's the same fan base, and it's some of the same people that have access to practices behind the scene that I don't. And some of them come to me and tell me he could be great if he's healthy, and others say he's never going to figure out how to be a touch deep passer. I don't know what to make. But I'd love to see it play out so I don't have to guess.
Yeah, watching his high school tape, his running seemed to be where he was best at. His passing was okay. It didn't seem extremely accurate, but it was almost like he was run first, pass second in high school. So we'll see kind of, the game for me, and it's the same thing I've been saying all year, the same thing I've been asking for all year. We saw it one time this year. We saw it during Clemson, but people can say whatever they want. I am cautiously optimistic that Freeman is going to do great things, but the inconsistency with Freeman started right off the bat. Amazing first half versus Oklahoma State, terrible second half. We lost the game. And we've seen that inconsistency throughout the year this year.
Yeah.
And so
now what's hard with that? Here's what's hard with that. What's hard with that is for me to sit down and proportion out the reasons why. I have really struggled with that. How much of it is just year one of a new coach figuring out his way and there's some instability there? How much of it is he doesn't have the players to run what he wants to run good enough? How much of it is the quarterback level not being what it is at the top schools? That is what I've had trouble with, trying to figure out why we had those inconsistencies. Most concerning, the 2 dumb losses and then sleepwalking against USC. I have major questions that bug me about why all of that came into play.
Yeah, the 2 losses, sleepwalking versus USC, terrible half versus Navy. You can look at the first part against. There's always some excuse, but I think the thing you have to look at is the inconsistency started at the bowl game last year with Cone. It started this year with Buckner, and then went into Pine. So we've gone through 3 quarterbacks with 3 different styles, and we've seen a ton of inconsistency with all of them. I just hope we find our consistency point. I think they just need to find their success point and ultimately go from there, and we'll see kind of, how Buckner does. I hope Buckner does great. I also hope that we see Angeli. And if given the choice, because like you said, if it's me as an exhibition game, I'm probably seeing Angeli with some Buckner packages in there, because I'd love to see what Angeli brings to the table. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Angeli gets, a few plays here and there, but it's really going to be the Buckner show because they're trying to legitimize, hey, all that we've put into Buckner. But the other thing too is
I don't want that kid to press.
I
don't want that kid to press. If it was me in his position, it would be very, very tempting if I get the call in this bowl game to try and make up not only just for this season, but multiple seasons. And does he try and do too much, trying to make up for lost time and prove himself that they don't need a transfer and that he's the guy? I'm a little nervous about that, but I think his personality and demeanor will help tamp some of that down. It would be more of a challenge for me, but he's California cool, laid back in a way. I think he may be able to harness that more than someone with my personality. But I'm a little nervous about that pressing issue. But do you have a transfer quarterback you want? What are your thoughts on that dynamic?
I have some thoughts on that for sure. I'll say this about Buckner. Buckner has gotten something this year that many quarterbacks don't get the chance to have, and that is spending a whole year up in the booth with the entire offense and seeing the game from a different perspective in terms of how play calls are done, what the expectations are, how they're run, and he gets to see receiver routes from a space where he has not been able to. So I think I'm hoping, because the kid is so smart, obviously you're smart if you're getting into Notre Dame, that he takes what he's learned up in the booth. It slows the game down for him even more, and he's even more effective, because that should be a huge thing, to be able to do that and sit and watch and learn the game from a different perspective that none of these kids are able to do ever. And the fact that he's been able to do that up in the booth and watch and learn, I think is going to be good. In terms of transfer quarterbacks, man, and this is just me, just being petty, but I am so not into Sanders, only because Sanders beat the crap out of us the second half of the Oklahoma State game last year. Like I have a huge problem.
If you can't beat him, steal him. If you can't beat him, steal him, baby. Like, come over to our side.
I know. This is my own personal issue, right? But I have a tough time. Like, I don't care if Caleb Williams, I'm a Giants fan. I'm from New York originally. I don't care if Caleb Williams became the quarterback for the Giants. I could never root for that dude. Like, I can't root for people that have big games against Notre Dame ever.
You know what?
Regardless of how far they go.
I got to tell you, do you know how much that warms my heart? That level of petty Notre Dame pettiness, that means a lot to me. I love that. That is peak Notre Dame petty, and I am here for it. That is right up my alley. I love that. So, all right, let's wrap this up here a little bit. Let me ask you this. What's the top couple things you want to see in the bowl game? Your top priorities. Obviously, we want to, don't just say to win the game. I'm talking about practically. What are the couple things that are most important to you that you want to see that'll give you comfort heading into the offseason till blue and gold next April?
Bro, I'll finish up with the transfers real quick. So I prefer Leary over Card. And the reason I like Card, I think he'd be a better long-term option. But having Card with 3 years of eligibility left doesn't mess up what we have going with Minchie. Does it haven't messed up what we have going with Carr?
Yep.
And
And
so
you
I think Leary,
I like your point there that you're not getting a guy who's definitely one and done. There's more flexibility there year-wise. That needs to be considered as well. Very good point.
yeah, for sure. I like Leary, personally speaking, but who knows? We'll
Somebody
see.
said Auburn's giving him
kind
a
of
big bag of cash. Somebody put in the chat that I think it was Auburn. Somebody's giving him a big bag of cash, which means Notre Dame would probably be out of those sweepstakes.
Yeah, I don't know who we're gonna get. I don't know if we get anybody big because of the NIL and everything stuff. Everybody's talked about Dylan Edwards and how he left, and apparently him and Deion Sanders have known each other since the kid was 4 years old. So I get him leaving. It is what it is. In terms of what do I want to see at the? I want to see. I just want to see our consistency point. Like, can we just be consistent regardless of who we have on the field, just once? You know what I mean? Like, again, can we get another Clemson and just have everybody play consistently for once? There's going to be a ton of change. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think the overwhelming theme for Marcus Freeman's first year as head coach, starting from the bowl game last year to going into this bowl game, has been inconsistency. And so we just need to see some consistency and how they do that. Now that's spanned multiple quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It spanned some multiple staff from where we finished up last year to where we are this year. So, we gotta see that point and then really go from there. But I think that's what I want to see. And then, young guys coming out. I'm hoping I don't get to see, what's his name? The guy with the hair just running all over the place and running into people and flailing his arms around all over. Yeah, Marist. I mean, I don't think the other guy should even play. I mean, like I said, I think you said it. Yes, if you see him running all over the place, but certainly you could, wherever he is, you could see him being blocked as well.
No, it's the hair. It's the hair. Tackle. The hair makes it obvious where he is, and it stands out. And then the next thing I see is him shoot a gap and then run into a brick wall. Every single time, whatever gap he's blitzing into, there is somebody there to hit him, and he never gets home, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah, and then somebody was talking about the transfers. And they said, like, oh, I was watching a
By
show
the way,
said,
it says January 18th is the portal deadline. I asked that earlier. So January 18th is the date you'll have an answer by who you're going to get. Oh,
yeah, it's coming. It's coming. And they're working behind the scenes. They're trying to figure it out. But there was a thing that said, oh, quarterbacks come to Notre Dame and they get better when they come into the transfer portal. And they were specifically speaking about Cohn in the last year that he had this previous college and coming to Notre Dame. And I'm like, I get it. I mean, I guess it's just we've only had one transfer quarterback, and that was Cohen, as far as I know. But if we're making transfer quarterbacks better, why can't we make our own damn quarterbacks better? Like, I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't get the reasoning there. So, no, and that's it. And I appreciate, again, always calling in the chat, the people you guys speaking to, the things that they say. For me, I'll just say, like, I just want. Man, I just want some consistency. And I will say this too. Dr. John brought it up earlier for the Mackey Award. I think it's fairly clear to see, and this, I think you've talked about it. There is an SEC bias. There is a good team bias. And if there wasn't, there's no way that, especially when you look at first team All-American honors that Mayer got Bauer second, and you look at statistic-wise, Bowers being seventh compared to Mayer being first, but yet he wins the Mackey Award. But that's the same thing as saying, like, do you think Stetson Bennett at like 35 years old really should have been one of the top 4 Heisman candidates over Blake Corum and some of the other guys that really should have been there?
You know what?
Like,
Blake Corum's the one.
Contest.
I'm right with you. Even as much as I hate everything Michigan, Blake Corum deserved to be at least have a trip there. The fact that they went all quarterbacks was like lazy to me. It was just a little lazy to me. You could have given Blake Corum that to mix it up and not have an all quarterback dynamic. So I don't know about that. It's whatever, man. It's and then you know what else? This is petty. I mean, here's something petty that I do. It really annoys me. Every single year we have a ton of guys go to the NFL or win all these awards and whatever. Every year but they never win anything as a collective group in Notre Dame. They win these individual awards and we're all happy, or they get to go to the league early and I'm thrilled for them. But here, there's never anything in the trophy case, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I agree. But again, we haven't. Like I said, you have those. The problem is the losses that we typically take are like on a grand scale and prime time, and everybody sees it. You know what I mean? So I had assuming that affects some of the voting, but again, I'm Notre Dame petty through and through and through and through. So
yep.
I'll say that's kind of just what I saw. And the fact that Stetson Bennett was in that group for the Heisman tells me all I need to know for the voting on the Mackey Award. But man, I remember I was so taken back by that. I just couldn't believe it. So as always, John, appreciate you. I'm looking forward to hearing some more. We'll obviously be calling in hopefully before the game a few more times and then probably after the game. But glad you're back up and running. Monday was I was like I didn't know what to do with myself. Monday when everything wasn't working after that. Even my wife was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm kind of lost right now."
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. It's me and technology have never gotten along. So I appreciate that. And yeah, we're gonna have a lot of interesting shows coming up because we're not in the season. That gives us flexibility to get creative and bounce around. I appreciate your input as always. Very well put together call every time. Thank you, my friend.
John, we'll talk soon, man. I'll obviously be listening to the rest of the show, so have a great one.
Beautiful. Have a good Wednesday, man. Work it out Wednesday. That's what we're doing. Nikki D21 also need to keep Peyton Bowen. I will lose some confidence if they don't. Every day, there's more rumors about it, and I don't know what to think. I like half want to think we can hold on, and I'm half preparing myself emotionally that a fat NIL deal and then he's gone at the last minute. We can't replace the guy because it's too late, and then we take a big fat loss. That'd be the most Notre Dame thing to happen, would it not? Drag the thing out. We don't have a backup plan. Last minute he leaves, screws us. Like, I don't know what else you could do. These guys are doing a good job recruiting. They have the guys interested. They're buying in and they like the personalities and the vibe of the program. And then they might feel that way kind of about somewhere else and also get a couple $1,000,000. Like, I don't know. It's just really frustrating when you feel like these guys love Notre Dame, but then they don't end up there because of money or whatever that pops up at the end. But they all say the right things and that they love Notre Dame. It's just wild to me. Frustrating. 818, and then we're going to 219 after that. 818, what's going on?
Hey, John, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing very well. Just trying to piece together some of this big picture Notre Dame stuff. What I want to see in the bowl game versus what I think we're going to see. And I'm also trying to figure out this portal thing. What type of quarterback makes the most sense for where Notre Dame's at right now?
Well, John, right before I get to that, just because I don't want to forget to mention the Drake Bowen thing, you know what annoys me about these situations? My gut feeling is he'll be gone on signing day. I don't think he's signing with us.
Or you mean Peyton? You mean Peyton Bowen, not Drake. You mean Peyton, right? Yeah, Peyton.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I don't want to get double stressed out. I only want to be singularly stressed out.
Right.
I can't worry about both.
Exactly. And that's just my gut feeling, just from the way these things seem to go. And my whole thing is, it's like, if you're going to do that, why do it on signing day? You know, can you do it like a week before? I mean, if you know that's what you're doing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. If it was going to happen, go ahead and cut it early so we can move on and make other plans. Listen, I've just been down the path with Notre Dame recruiting so many times. A part of me is already emotionally preparing for everybody to freak out and be upset. And it would be a huge loss because he is supremely talented and would help Notre Dame big time right away next year, game one.
Right? No question. I just got this, but whatever. We'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. This is going to be a top 5 class either way. Last year was a top 7 class. So, I mean, it just keeps moving in the right direction. So as far as that goes, I'm still, very excited about the future and the talent level of Notre Dame football. As far as the transfer QB thing goes, man, I'll be honest with you. No one really excites me, John. There's not anybody out there that really excites me. But then again, Cone didn't excite me.
All right, but let me ask this.
But
let me ask this, man. Yeah. Here's how I look at it. Are we even in the position to be that picky to look at Spencer Sanders with 9,500 yards passing, 66 touchdowns, almost 2,000 on the ground and 18 touchdowns? Who are Notre Dame people with our production or lack thereof to be looking down on any of these guys when they have fatter numbers? It would take Drew Pine 26 years in college to get 10,000 pass yards.
Oh, no question. And all I'm saying by that is that when I say nobody excites me, I literally mean nobody excites me. I don't have anybody excites me on the Notre Dame roster. Nobody.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is may the best person win. So Sanders, I saw what he did to us a couple of years ago in the bowl game, or not even a couple of years ago, last year. So I'll be honest with you. The guy that said I would not want to see Caleb Williams on the Bears either. I'll say that right now because I just can't stand the guy. I mean, the way the showboating. I mean, walking into the end zone, looking back at the other player, and like he barely jogs in. That bothered me, man. Officials have thrown flags for things like that in the past. They weren't throwing any flags that night, though.
No. That was they got the full Hollywood green light production, build it all up, make sure the guy gets his numbers. Then they started calling the holdings. Once the whole movie was done and made and was on getting edited, then they just started to call some flags there. They wanted to get that guy the Heisman, and they did. That's what they wanted to do, and they did it. Whatever.
John, I'm still mad about the holding calls. I really am. Because I think some of those were momentum-changing non-calls.
Yep.
That if they're called and Notre Dame gets the ball at midfield, anyway, I'm not going to go into all that. But, no, Sanders actually, let me retract that. Sanders excites me the most because I saw what he did against us in that second half. I just feel like with all things being equal, someone like him, I can welcome someone into the Notre Dame program that's beat us before because now he's a part of us. Now, if he went on to go to the NFL, maybe I don't want to see that guy in one of my teams or whatever. I mean, I'm not that petty, I guess. Mitch Trubisky did that to us too, if you remember years ago.
Yeah.
And he was right. Yeah. Made us look bad. We lost the game. Let's put it that way. And he looked great in that game, that Gator Bowl. So yeah, some people forget about that. Mitch Trubisky, NC State. Anyway, yeah, man, I'm kind of wide open. I don't have any problem bringing in a transfer. I think it'd be good for the competition. I still have high hopes for Buckner, man. I really do. I'm interested in seeing. Again, the caller previously mentioned another great point about being upstairs watching the game from that level. Man, I've seen that happen, in times when you're practicing all the time, you keep pushing it, but things don't seem to get better. Then all of a sudden you're away for a few weeks from the game. Sometimes that can be beneficial. That can be highly beneficial because you get out of your head, maybe you get a chance to relax a little bit. Okay. Then when you come back again, you're not pressing as much. You're not slumping because you're over that slump because you put weeks in between it. I had a situation when this is kind of a different analogy, but I had a really bad shoulder injury. And, man, I was working on it all the time. And then I couldn't go to see my physical therapist for about 4 weeks. I was still doing stuff at home. But when I came back, within 2 sessions, it had made a dramatic improvement. And he brought that up, that it may have been from the fact that I just gave it some rest and some time away a little bit, didn't go after it quite as hard. He said, something happened. I don't know. I'm just making that analogy, or that comparison. Maybe that's something that will improve Buckner's play.
Yeah, it's wild. I just don't know what to expect. And the quarterback inconsistency thing, whatever the reasons, I'm over it. Like legitimate reasons, injuries, something you can't, I'm over it. Like, there's just no high-level consistency, know what you're going to get out of any of this at the most important position, and it makes me nervous. And then people are noting, you know, Buckner's run. He played in a lower division of San Diego high school football. Then he transferred into a bigger private school for better competition the last year. And then COVID hit, and then he was out. Like, he'll be fine when he matures. But the issue is, like, a lot of people are saying that. When's that going to be, though? I can't wait 8 years for that maturity. I just can't. We can't wait that long. And he's already legitimately 3 to 4 years behind where he wanted to be.
Yeah, and look, I guess we'll know this year. We'll know this year if he's really that injury prone, or just been a couple just fluke things that have happened to him. Unfortunately, we'll know this year, because a guy that we've seen it happen so many times. Though, look back at RG3. Of course, that happened more in the NFL, but still, I mean, you got a guy that runs like that. It just, they don't pan out well down the line, man. It's just, you're putting yourself in harm's way too often. So I really do hope they can get him his arm developed better, get him to be a better passer, because that running is going to do him great in situations where we're obvious passing situations where he can then take off running. But if it's always running first, the natural evolution of him should be to become a better quarterback throwing the ball. Of course, I got why Kelly used him in that respect last year.
Yeah,
I understood why he was doing it, but I think maybe he just got maybe it may have hampered his throwing development just a little bit. So again, going back to what I said, I'm curious about this time away, this time up in the booth, and all that with Reese. And again, I think Reese is I do think Reese is a good play caller, and I think that maybe being up there and seeing things from that perspective, maybe it will help him out. We'll see. John, I also want to touch on this whole inconsistency issue, because it's really bugged me all year long, and it's one of those things over the years of watching Notre Dame and college football in general, it's something that we always end up saying, "Oh, I don't know what it is. Hope they can figure it out." Well, I try to figure out what it is, because that's something that's very important to me, is to figure that what I think is a psychological issue.
Well, what else could it be?
And
What else could it be when you don't show up against Marshall and Stanford at home, when I know we physically have way more talent? That can only be mental and preparation problems, right?
Well, and I also think that's why Mayer didn't win the Mackey. I think it was losing those two games, even though he played well. And I don't remember. I forget I already forgot the Marshall game, but he just. I think you got to come. Also, Ohio State and USC. He played great in those games, but we didn't win. And I just think that had a lot. And not to say that what the hell? What's that guy's name for Georgia?
Bennett.
The guy whoever it was, I don't remember his name. I wasn't mentioned that much throughout the year. I'm like, who's this guy winning the Mackey? Who the hell is this guy?
Oh, you mean the tight end? Yeah, Bowers, the tight end. Yeah, he's a beast, but
Bauer. Sorry, yeah.
I mean,
and it just bothered me, man, because I think it's just, it wasn't so much about Georgia, I think, per se, as it was that we had 4 losses and we had 2 bad losses, and the USC game. And by the way, while I'm on the subject, when is the last time, I thought about this as well, when is the last time Notre Dame has played good when Herb Street and Fowler have been announcing? We are cursed by those two. And by the way, I really like Herb Street. I think he actually, in that game, that USC game, he was trying to kind of combat what Fowler was saying many, many times. When Fowler
now wait,
he was trying to kind of.
Now there's a hitch to this. There's a hitch to this. You're bringing up those two guys are us playing bad when those two are announcing. What that means is they're the main crew. So that means it's all of our bigger games that are not home. Because our biggest games that aren't home, they're going to get the call on the game of the week. And go figure, our biggest games, and then we play bad, and then Fowler can't contain his excitement in the booth.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's happened over and over and over again. I mean, I've been going back and thought about when they have announced, like, there's a history of us playing, either not playing, either playing bad or getting beat. There's not enough games where we've actually won those games. I really have thought about that. I wish that's a good trivia question. When's the last time Notre Dame won a game when Fowler and Herbstreit announced? And maybe it's more recent than I think, but I'm just really curious about that.
I'm guessing it's probably a game we're not even thinking of. It's probably a game we're not even thinking of that they ended up doing.
John, I'm going to do some research on that.
Look it up.
To find out what our record is. Yeah, but I like Herbstreit a lot. I thought he was actually doing a really good job trying to, take the other side of because Fowler was just out of control, man. He disappointed me because I always liked Chris Fowler in the past. But I thought last couple of times I've heard him announce Notre Dame games, he's become such a anti-homer. I mean, it's like, what are you doing, man?
No, they gave him the bullet points. They gave him the bullet points, and the bullet points were, this is this kid's Heisman coronation, and we're going to make it happen. And that's exactly what happened. So I don't, for the bowl game, man, I'm just telling you, I have no idea what we're going to get. I have no idea. There's so many new, there's so much new, even just between USC and now. There's so much that's going to look new. I have no idea what we're going to get. I am just going to watch and hope I like what I see, but I have no idea.
Well, I guess if I look at it this way, I guess the one good thing coming out of it is just simply we don't have Mayer to lean on anymore. We're going to have to try to, it's going to be a game we're going to have to spread it out. Spread out the love. And obviously, we're going to have to lean on the running game, lean on the offensive line. And a lot of those receivers that have been stepping up, we're going to have to step up a little more. And we'll see what we got. I mean, it's weird because it's not even really a spring game, because obviously there's still players on this team that will be gone when spring comes around. So it's a weird sort of one game off where it's not going to look like anything and necessarily a whole lot of what we're going to see in the future. And it's not going to look anything like what we've seen the previous 12 games. So it's an odd one, John. It's an odd one.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking. I'm looking forward to it, but we already know we don't know John, what we're going to get.
Quick question. Quick question. Who is South Carolina losing in this game? What players of theirs have declared, if any?
Somebody earlier said that a couple of their best defensive players left early that want to go to the league. I think a corner. They lost a couple guys that they want to go to the league. But I just don't know, man. Notre Dame's already, I don't know what we're going to get. And now it's extra. I don't know what we're going to get. I'm just going to tune in and hope Marcus doesn't end up 0-2 in bowl games, I guess. Because I don't know what we're going to get, man. I don't.
Yeah, same here, man. Same here. Well, I'm glad to hear at least they got a couple guys that were declared early as well. So at least that evens the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, it's just, you just got to scrap it together, find a way to win this so you don't go 0-2 and then have some momentum going into everything in the offseason. So it's going to be wild, man. So I don't know, but we're going to see. But I thank you for the call as always with the energy. I love it when you bring it.
You and me both, John. There's one thing that we connect on. It's on an energy level.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel bad for everybody else in the same room as us because there's a lot going on, my friend. But thanks as always. We'll talk soon. Appreciate you.
All right, man. You take care, John.
Have a good day, man. Thanks for the call. Rodney always got that energy, man. That California cool got that energy. Oh, boy. Here we go. 219, you're on the line. Good morning.
John, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm just trying to figure out what the heck we're going to see in this bowl game, and I don't have any answers. And I'm also trying to see what's going to happen with this transfer quarterback deal. What are your thoughts on those two topics?
Well, the bowl game, I mean, we really need to really see Buckner and see what he's made of. I really believe that he can be a great quarterback, but it's just he can't stay healthy. We don't see. We've seen it in flashes, and then that's it. So, but I agree with you, John, and hopefully he doesn't press and try to, prove he's the guy to keep the transfer quarterback from coming in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think there's risk in that. If I sat there and had to watch all my buddies play and get all the attention and get all the newspaper articles written about them, and I'm not able to contribute and I want to, and the months are going by, in my natural reaction would be to do everything I can and maybe press. So I just hope he stays within himself and they don't also ask him to do too much.
And the other thing with the other quarterbacks and Jelly, and even with Pine in the summer, I mean, Buckner just must be so much better than those guys, because it almost seems like there was never even really a competition.
Yeah. Yep,
I mean,
you're right.
Buckner shows what he shows in practice must be so much better than those guys that, I mean, there was no competition this summer. It was Buckner's job.
Yeah, and everybody knew that. And I think a part of that was just the main fact that he could run the ball and throw the ball. It just gives you so much more flexibility. Your offense is so much less limited. Now, do you think Angeli's going to see a lot of time? I see a lot of people wanting that and thinking they're going to see that, like some mixed drives with those guys. Do you think that's in play, or do you expect it to just be Buckner and we run with it?
I would think it's going to be mainly Buckner. You might see Angeli play a little bit, a series here or there, but I think they want to see Buckner play.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's so rough, man. I don't know what to think. Like, and I want to see him play too, but I'm going to be nervous if he's running around, like, I don't know. And what if it doesn't go great, man? What if it doesn't go great because there's no rhythm and he hasn't even really been hit all year and everything looks off? How much are we supposed to take from that and worry about versus realizing this was such a weird dynamic? What did you expect? Like, sitting on that all winter would be tough if it goes sideways.
Yeah, I mean, it could easily not look good just on rhythm and timing and stuff. He hasn't been, he's been practicing lately, but he hasn't been playing with these guys all year. You might have some false starts because he's got a different rhythm to his clap or snap count than Pine does. He might have some timing issues with the receivers. But I think everybody, even the coaching staff wants to see what he has before we really go all in on a transfer. I mean, and I think the transfers want to see it too, because I don't think any of these guys are going to want to come to Notre Dame if Buckner lights it up and looks awesome. I think a lot of guys that we want are going to guarantee jobs. Yeah.
Yep. And then the other thing I wonder is, did they just try and power run the ball this whole bowl game? And the passing game was already an issue. Now we don't know what kind of rhythm we're going to have. I could see him leaning on that even more, and you don't have your outlet in Mayer. So maybe it's the ultimate run thing and then set up run plays for Buckner too. Maybe that's the way they go. I don't know. But a part of me wonders if Tommy's going to want to let it rip a little more, thinking that Buckner's capable, and you might open things up more. I don't know what we're going to see. I'm all turned around. I don't know what we're going to see.
Didn't Tommy say that? He wanted to see Buckner's let it rip or whatever, for let him throw it around.
Well, yeah, I've been wanting to see that for 5 years. It's like I've been waiting to see it too, but it never happens. I saw somebody put in the chat, once he's healthy, it's going to be fine. I don't have a dozen years to wait for that.
We're just kind of concentrating on his injuries lately. Remember, he was getting ready to take over that job at Virginia Tech that night, and he got his ankle rolled, and then Cone came back in, remember?
Yep.
So he got hurt. Last year he would have took the job over, but he got hurt too. So it's like, can he even make it through a season? A couple games?
Well, but I think that consideration is a part of the reason you see Notre Dame feeling like they're obligated to take a transfer guy, so they don't end up in the position they ended up this year, where you feel okay about your starter, but he goes down and then you're dead behind him. That's what they want to avoid. They got burned by that dynamic this year. They're going to make sure they're not going to get burned by it again. That's what I think's going on. But what guy is it? I don't know. Who do you want? Sanders?
I don't know. I know he played really good in the second half of that bowl game to beat us, but I've watched him play a couple other games where it almost seemed like he was like you could get in his head easy, and he throws a lot of interceptions. I don't know those stats. I might be wrong on that, but a couple games I watched, I'm like, I don't know if I want him either. And I forget where I heard.
But again, look at our production. Who are we to get picky about these guys? All of their production's higher than anything we have. And we're all sitting here being like, yeah, but I don't know about that guy. It's all an improvement over any of the numbers we have right now. And I'm sitting here parsing through like, I don't like that guy enough. Who are we to be so fancy at the buffet?
You're right. I mean, you're right, John.
It's a bad spot, man. Why can't we just have a good quarterback for a few years in a row? I don't have to worry about it, and I just know he's good. Why?
I truly feel like, though, and we probably shouldn't be like this as a fan base because it's one game. I feel like if Buckner lights it up, we're going to be like, okay, we're good. We can roll with him, maybe get a transfer too, that if he gets hurt, we'll be all right. But if he plays really bad, then we're going to be screaming for a top-level transfer.
Man, this is just so much stress that we cause that is just unneeded. Recruit a good guy, develop him, you have him a few years. It is not as hard as it feels that for us every single year, man. It can't be this hard. It can't.
I mean, this is 5 years of not recruiting quarterbacks. This is what it causes.
Oh, man.
5 years of Ian. Ian Book held the fort down, and he was a 3-star guy. And then we brought Buckner in, had to bring Cone in to fill that, year, try to get past that. And this is what it caused. It's 5 years of not recruiting a top-level quarterback when other schools have backups that look more capable than we've had at Notre Dame.
Yep. It's just wild. Stability there would change the trajectory of this program so much. It would just provide a level of structure and stability we're not used to. It's just the biggest deal. And I don't care the name. It just has to be somebody. I do not care the name. It just has to be somebody that could provide that stability to build around. So I don't know, man, but I'm prepared to see anything in the bowl game. Good, bad, different, new, looking like the old stuff. I have genuinely no idea what Reese is going to want to do. I don't know if he's going to come up with stuff to sneak up on South Carolina, looking at all the Pine film and then do different things with Buckner. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get.
I'm just interested to watch the game almost like a practice for next year, because I'm interested to see if the offense looks a lot better with Buckner, behind center.
All right. You say that, but if it goes bad, you're going to be texting me 20 times that night, all pissed off. So you can't tell me you're looking at it like a practice run. We're both saying that. Look for the future. Let the younger guy, but also you better win the game or we're going to be mad at the same time. I admit that.
It'll be both.
It is. Yeah, a few weeks. No, you know what you do all the time? You play it cool, and then the closer we get to the game, the more cranked up you get. That's what you do.
I'll probably start out being really, really calm, sit down on the couch, put my feet up, and then as the game starts, then I'll start getting all fired up.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Oh, man. So
what else I want to see too, John, is the linebacker. I think that's the two things that everybody's called in and asked about from the fan base is the quarterback and the linebackers. And I would just really love to see some of these young linebackers get some time, but I feel like Bertrand and Kaiser and Leo Fowler. It's almost like the coaches love those guys so much. It's almost hard to get them off the field.
Yeah, it's very tricky. And then with guys that are poised to come back, that's an issue. Like, you can't really bench them for the bowl game for the young guys, but then they're coming back next year. That's like kind of awkward. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know if there's, let me put it this way. If there's a way to get more younger guys involved and win the game, that's the path. Whatever that balance is, where you could get more younger guys, big time game experience, and it not cost us the game, whatever that threshold is, I need us right up against it. That's how I'll put it.
Yeah, 100%.
So I don't know, man.
Goes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I am supremely intrigued at this transfer quarterback dynamic. I really want to see who it is. I think they're going to get a guy. It just better be a guy with a fat body of work with passing stats that I know I can get. Like, that's what I need. That's what I need.
So I either read or heard it somewhere that Notre Dame had already shut the door on the Leary thing. Like, something happened and they were out. But I could be wrong on that. I thought I read it that somewhere.
Well, I'm hearing a fat bag of money's coming to him from another school, so maybe that's it. I don't know.
Maybe that's, yeah, maybe.
So I don't know, man. And then there are still people worried about the regular recruiting class falling apart. I'm reading a message on the screen right now. The recruiting class is falling apart. We're going to lose guys closer to the deadline and going to end up in the same place it always does. Something has to change institutionally. I'm telling you, it's going to hurt. Some of this NIL and all that, it's going to hurt. If you lose Peyton Bowen on the last night before the signing day, because of that, everybody's going to be upset and nobody knows who to blame. That's what's going to happen.
I hope not.
Me too.
People, those rumors have been out there for 6 months. Like, what if he's doing it? What's he waiting for?
Exactly. That I've said that too. Like, if you're doing that, then go ahead and do it, or don't even commit to anywhere else. But don't commit to us either. Then back off completely. I don't know, man. That one is going to hurt really, really bad. And then you add it with Keeley. That hurts really, really. Like, we're losing some guys that help change the dynamic instantly at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's gonna take like 3 years of top 5 to 7 recruiting classes to get everything back on track. So even if we lose them, I mean, I know I'll call being angry, but as long as we can stay in that top 5 range, I mean.
Yeah, and I would say figure out the quarterback part, which it seems like they're on the path of doing. If you could end up in that area and figure out the quarterback you're comfortable with, that dynamic. So I don't know, man. We'll see. And then as we get closer to game week, we'll break some of them, some more down between these two schools. But I appreciate the call as always, my friend. I'm going to squeeze one more person in here for the end of the day.
Yep, we'll talk to you, John.
Have a good one, man. Hang in there.
Yep.
Always a good caller. He messages me all the time. He'll just text me something that's bugging him. I'm mad about this. What do you think about that? I don't like seeing this. It warms my heart how he gets all mad. 707, last caller of the day. What's going on?
Hey, John. I think I'm having the same computer issues you are, so
nothing's easy, my friend.
Too,
nothing's easy.
Yeah, my computer is like such a dinosaur now. I can't. The memory thing is just horrendous. So I gotta bite the bullet and go out and find some more memory and a new battery. But
yeah,
anyway,
nothing's easy. What do you make of all? What do you make of all this, man? Like, what are your thoughts on this bowl game and what is reasonable for us to expect to see? And I'd also like your input on the portal as well.
Well, the portal is what annoys me the most, and I was going to raise this with you on Monday. You know, what's to stop, and let's just leave it to football in college athletics, but what's to stop every single kid that gets recruited and signed to just transfer portal, and that way they're almost acting as a union of, they're going to have to, the universities are going to have to pay them money just to get them to re-sign. What's to stop that? What's the end game?
Yeah.
That the NCAA is putting their head in a hole and they're not taking control of what this madness is.
Yeah.
So, why not just have every single kid declare transfer portal? And so that way there's 8,000 people in the transfer portal. And if you want to have a football team, you better have to give, pony up the NIL money to everyone.
Man, that's wild. And you know what else it connects to that I've heard is going on? You have these people have their posse, they have their entourage, they have their people that speak and bind, back channels and this and that. Anymore, some of these people are lying about the NIL. And they're saying to a school, well, you're not reaching what we got offered over here, but there's no way to even verify that that's true other than what their people are telling you. Sometimes it isn't even true.
What their actions are.
But there's
what their actions are.
It's wild. It's wild.
It's what their, John, it's what their actions are. So if you have a Dante Moore that says, I'm coming to Notre Dame and then I'm not coming. Keon Keeley, I'm coming. I love it. I'm not coming. They're getting money thrown at them because why else would they put on that bravado? They use Notre Dame to make money.
And everything else fits and they could get in academically and they have good relationship with our coaches. Those are the ones that really hurt when everything seems to line up and they have the grades and are good kids.
Think that we have a good relationship with.
It's hard.
Well, with the quarterback, when you talk about Tommy Rees, I think it's all around the country that this guy, he might be nice and very good to their parents and explaining the academics and all that lovely flowery stuff, the small university and all that stuff. But when you're talking football, he can't close the deal. Like the last what do we have? Elko was the offensive coordinator. That was the last time, and he didn't have as much talent, I don't think, as what we have now, except for a quarterback. And that's purely on Rees. So, this is where I'm seeing the deficiency. And unless, what's his face, Freeman can see that, we're never going to get there. Because we're a quarterback away. If we had Caleb Williams this whole year, we'd be such a different place. We'd be in that playoff spot because the rest of our team is good enough to get us there. But Rees is not good enough to get us there. So that's where it lies. I don't care if he can get all the promises in the world that they're going to come play for him. When it comes down to signing time, who are they getting? Ian Book?
Yeah.
And it's a cone for a year, that now we have to have somebody else learn the system.
Now it does seem like Minchie and Carr upgrades over what we've seen recently. It's just how many years are we going to have to wait before I see dividends pay for them guys? We're still a couple or a few years. Like the issue is every year we kick the time frame down a couple more years.
Right. And I don't see them being as competitive as a Dante Moore. So we had him too. It's just a matter of time. We have Minchie, yeah. We have CJ Carr, yeah. But when it comes right down to it, when it got time for Dante Moore to sign, he looked elsewhere. So that's my history of what I'm looking at with Rees. So until he's gone, we're not going to get anything near. We might make playoffs, but again, we'll fall into the Brian Kelly syndrome of not having the elite talent. That a guy like Elko could bring in at quarterback, and a guy like Rees can get a promise from, and then they fail.
Let me ask you this. Are you open to the idea that maybe let's avoid the issues we have with Rees himself developing and recruiting quarterbacks and all that, whatever. If we get some good transfer in here, and then are you open that that might just make all the difference and Rees will look way better at his job too if you just have a guy that can make all the throws, which we don't have? Like, is it that simple? Is it that simple that if you just have that, like Spencer Sanders with 10,000 passing yards and 66 touchdowns, all of it would look much better and we wouldn't ride Tommy as much as we do? Are you open to that? I might be. I don't know.
it's possible that we can, and I think Reeves will going forward rely on the transfer portal to get a quarterback for a year because he can't bring in these younger kids.
Somebody put in the chat. Don't worry, guys. Year 10 at Tommy Rees. We're going to get that elite quarterback play. It's developing. It's coming. You just got to wait for year 10, man. Wait for things to marinate.
Yeah. It's coming, all right.
Hey, what is this offense going to look like in the bowl game without having Michael Mayer as your bailout and main target every single play? Are we going to spread it out and wing it around, or are they going to power run the ball? What are we going to get?
Well, if we win at all, it'll be because of Buckner because, who else is going to do it? Angeli's not going to do it. Right. And the surrounding team can get us to certainly beat a team like South Carolina, even though they put in some pretty good games against Clemson and Tennessee.
Yeah, really good games.
You can't dismiss their accomplishments this year. But in terms of overall, I just don't have any confidence at all in what Reeves brings to the table. I just don't. And it just won't get better. I've seen it too many years of Notre Dame football to see when there's a slouch on the team, it disrupts especially him. Like I see him up in the booth. He's not talking to anybody but in the quarterback's ear. And who knows if he's just saying, that player told him job, Yeah. He doesn't talk to his assistants that are on either side of him. He's just focused on the next play, and the next play is never good enough. How do you not get at least a field goal in that last Fiesta Bowl game in the second half? How can you not just generate a field goal to win the game? So if Saban gets tagged with an 0-1, certainly it was Kelly's reasoning because he was gone. It's less than a month to prepare. Right. But this is what we're looking at, and until Reeves can get the hell out of town by hook, by crook, just or by hook, by crook, or NFL quarterback coach opportunity, right? Whatever it takes. I would bet the Notre Dame school a lunch that he will not get signed as an offensive coordinator to some National Football League team. He just won't. I don't know, man, but we're gonna. It just, something's got to give. It is the obvious biggest thing holding the program back. We need it to be stabilized. All the transfers are Band-Aids. I want somebody we can grow with, know what we have, develop him. He's our guy, mature. That's where I think we ultimately need to get, whether it's Minchie, whether it's Carr. I need it from somebody. So I don't know, my friend. Land, my main concern, too, is the academic side of things and those old stuffy people that want to keep their job and make themselves relevant in saying we have to scrutinize every applicant that comes to Notre Dame because they have to be good enough for coursework. I don't think Newt Rockne ever had to worry about that kind of thing. We were a football school before we were anything, and if they don't understand that they are going to lose a lot of donations. And, I have been saying that forever. Notre Dame things. You're on my wavelength. Whenever this discussion comes up, I always have this debate, and I always say all the academics, including the ones in my family that went to Notre Dame, and the academic part's a big deal, and they're doctors now and all that. I tell them, you all need to realize that degree you have that made you all that money and got you that job interview, none of it would mean what it means. And you wouldn't have the value it has and the income you have if it wasn't for football success. Now that the academics are world known and renowned, isn't the time to bail on the only reason that this is anything more than a tiny private Catholic school near a lake in the middle of nowhere. It's football. Well, it's football. They're not even world known and renowned. I mean, if they're in the top, 50. That's a good year for them because they do it every year. They do that evaluation. And, I don't think that that's necessarily a strength to put Notre Dame's football where there's so many more people. It's almost like Yankees, baseball. There's fans all over the country for them.
Yep.
Just like Notre Dame, but even Notre Dame is like worldly.
Yep.
I don't know. Until they recognize that football is what got them every single bit of their renown, then we're going to just mire in the swamp.
Yeah, it's a little tough. I'm with you on that dynamic. There's got to be a way to thread that needle as well, where you don't downgrade the worth of the degree and you find a path to get more guys that you don't have to give up your values to do it. It's not all or nothing. It's not open the floodgates and let everybody in that can't read. Like, there's a way to thread the needle.
I don't think there is. I think the only way they're going to have to do it is to pay kids, and then I see them that they're never going to want to do that. And so all these schools that Alabama and Georgia, and every year that comes around, these elite schools are going to be forking out the money, and Notre Dame isn't. So that's where we're, it's just not going to happen at Notre Dame. And the more I'm talking out loud and hearing myself say these things, the more I'm becoming frustrated to where it's like, you know what have you done for me lately? I've given everything to you guys as a school of wanting to be so positive about whoever I talk to about Notre Dame.
Yep. What do you ever get back? What do you ever get back other than an ulcer? Other than an ulcer and less hair, what do you get?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, but it'll all be worth it if we ever find a way out of this and win it the right way. All of this pain and all these discussions and all this misery of football is all going to be worth it in spades. And that's what keeps me going, is holding out hope that Notre Dame could try and maintain the values it has and get across the hump. That's what fuels me. Otherwise, I couldn't do this. A little part of me holds out hope we could do it the right way and win it. And that's what keeps me going. Final thoughts are yours, my friend. Wrapping up the show. It's all you. What do you got?
I just say we got to get rid of Reeves, and we got to loosen the purse strings at the academic level. Pay these kids to come if you want to get recognition, if you want to get more TV money. And when it comes to this ball game coming up, hit these guys that are seniors that are not going to be a very good prospect for the NFL. And I'm talking about Carell and Lugg and put a lot of these kids down and let these young kids play and show some enthusiasm, and maybe that'll get prospects, because right now I think, Notre Dame's just an old dinosaur with a name. I don't think that they're going to be competitive unless they let young kids play, make the right coaching moves, and let the academic people give a little bit, meet up halfway and trying to get some talent.
Yeah, and I do think Freeman's working on that. Freeman recognizes this, and I think he's working on some of that, and he's trying. The administration's a little.
He's going to have to recognize is Reeves is not the answer. He's just not the answer. So unless he recognizes that, it's going to be another long season next year.
Gosh, I hope not, man.
So negative.
Yeah, I know.
John,
I know.
I'm taking your spot on the rant today, but it's just the way I feel. I'm just so frustrated with us.
Yeah. Yep.
In general, what I'm seeing, we lose Dante Moore, we lose Keon Keeley. Pay these kids some money and they'll come here. Just do it, because that's what you need. You need one quarterback, a really good quarterback, away from winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. I like our offensive line, except for those two. I like what we have coming in, and I like our running back. Stable is fantastic.
Yep.
And, our receivers are big, tall, lanky guys that can catch the ball. They just don't have a guy to bring it to them. And our defensive backfield turned out to be a strength of the unit of the defense this year.
Yep.
And I like Golden, what he's in and out, bringing a lot of players in. What I didn't see was Laurinaitis playing collie enough.
Yeah.
So, if I make two moves, I make that linebacker move and I make Reeves move, and then I take my chances on what we'll get, coming in.
All right, my friend, that you covered a lot, and some of it was heavy. And I got to admit, I've gone down all those paths in my mind. Every bullet point you mentioned is something I think about often. You're not off track. I worry, and I have the same big picture existential concerns you do, and all that. And I pray that the administration lets Freeman modernize to where we can maintain our values and be more competitive. That's about all I can ask for right now.
I know, and I apologize for the negativity.
No, but I want you to get out what you need to get out. That's the reason for the phone number. You know how this goes. It doesn't have to all be stuff that makes us feel good. I need you to be able to get it out. So I thank you for the call, my friend. Sit on some more ideas and call me back next time.
Will do.
All righty. Go Irish. Have a good one. Hey, I'm with him, man. I'm with him. I have all those same exact worries he brought up. I'm with you. All right, folks, that's going to be it. I got an article to write. I'll have something coming out tomorrow, and then probably another live show Friday. So thanks, everybody, for being here. Sorry I wasn't able to do Monday. Looks like we're back on track. Super Chat's coming back soon, hopefully. We'll see how it goes. Have a good one.